This is an intimate conversation series with millionaires and billionaires who moved the world, not just about how they built their wealth, but about who they had to become because of it. Because money amplifies what you've always been. This is the Inner Circle. Let's begin. Hey Peter, thank you for joining us today. And I wanted to start with, if someone were to walk into your world for the first time, what would they need to understand about who you are and how you got here?
Boy, if I met someone for the first time, I think the first couple things they'd say is I'm very driven, process-oriented, and highly motivated.
Yeah. What about, can you talk a little bit about what you've built in these past few years?
You know, let's call it the cumulative body of work over the last 40 years. I've run a couple of businesses. I've had a few different investment strategies. I've served on a variety of boards. Each one of those experiences has contributed to who I am and how I got here today. Some have provided, let's call it economic incentives. Some have provided knowledge. Some have provided relationship or spiritual fulfillment.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. How about what's a figure, if you were to think back, you've probably met numerous amounts of figures that have impacted how you are today, right? Could you name a few that have really made an impact on how have you scaled your business or how you are as a person?
So the first and most obvious is my dad.
Yeah.
He passed away 10 years ago, but I can remember I would actually get in trouble as a kid for dominating the dinner time conversation about business and his work. Mm. And at points my mom would kind of let someone else talk. Yeah. So he was really a huge influence. I had a teacher in 5th grade. I was, let's call it, a precocious youth, and she put me in line and set me on the straight and narrow, and that helped a lot. And then probably in high school, I was really attracted to the business curriculum. Mm-hmm. And the teacher who ran the business department was a fantastic role model and insightful, and some of the lessons that he shared with us, both applicable to let's call it textbook learning and real learning, right, had a huge influence. Then there's been a couple of mentors in the business world over the years that have given me some tips and techniques, or given me some insights into new lines of business.
That's amazing. And have you mentored others as well?
I have done some mentoring, primarily people who work for me, who are on my team or staff. One of the things I've really tried to do is mentor my sons. I'll give an example. I don't know, 3, maybe 4 years ago, I was at a conference. And there was a venture capitalist making a presentation, and he said, I want to demonstrate ChatGPT to you. And I'm like, ChatGPT, what is this some little talking app or TikTok or whatever for kids? I said, I don't really have any interest in this. And he said, I'm thinking of going on a diet. I want to lose 20 pounds in the next month. Can you develop a meal plan and a shopping list for me? And he hit the key, and we all know what happened. Yeah. The menus came out, the shopping list came out, etc., and I was stunned. And the minute that conference ended, I texted both of my sons and said, look, you need to get all over AI and understand this, because it is the way of the future. And my sons, when they were in their teens and I would tell them things to do, they would say, you don't know, Dad. Yeah. It's different today. Now they actively seek me out for guidance and input on any important decision in their life.
That's incredible. And one of the things is to build a legacy, right? Especially since you've built something great, you want it to continue within your children. What are some of the things that you have done in the teachings of your children that make them interested in carrying that legacy?
Well, one of the challenging points we had when they were graduating high school was neither one of them wanted to go to college. And I said, look, you need to go to college. I don't care what you do afterwards, but you need to have that degree. You need to have that piece of paperwork. You need to have that ticket. Society places certain values on certain milestones that you have to achieve,
Right.
and one of those is college. We could have a whole podcast discussion about whether or not you should be going to college, and I have my own thoughts on that, and I encourage people to go into trades, et cetera, because we need tradespeople. But
Right.
I said, look, go to college, and you can do whatever you want. And now they have both become super successful contributors. One works for a high-tech company, one works for a utility, both well regarded and very successful in their own rights. But again, because of the values, the education, the motivation that I instilled in them, the role model that I really was for them, they have achieved that when they were drifting for a little bit when they were younger.
That's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about who you were before you attained wealth.
How far back do you want to go?
As far back as you want.
I'll tell a funny story that my mom tells.
Yeah.
My mom tells a story that I used to lay awake at night in bed thinking about something to invent so I could be rich. And I remember we lived in the San Francisco Bay Area growing up as a kid kids in the East Bay. And in our community, there was a number of executives that worked at the big companies in San Francisco, but then there was a number of entrepreneurs and people that owned their own business.
Right.
And the people that always owned their own business had the nicest cars, went on the nicest vacations, owned planes and stuff. And, as a young person, child, you didn't really understand why. And my dad said, they run all that through the business. They said it's part of their lifestyle. They said you're never going to get rich being a W-2 employee, but if you own your own business, that's how you really generate wealth. So those type of things really resonated with me early on, and I think served as motivations for me to then start and run a number of successful businesses and achieve where I am today.
Can you tell us a little bit about what are the businesses that you've operated?
So the primary business that I ran was an employee benefit brokerage and consulting firm. We sold employee benefits to companies in Silicon Valley, Northern California. And I think it was kind of more lucky than anything. Right place, right time, and then skill set and hard work. But the employers in the Valley, it is probably the most competitive landscape for hiring talent in the world, particularly from the Golden Gate Bridge down to the San Jose Airport. And those employers try to differentiate themselves by offering a rich benefit plan. We were selling the benefit plan, so they would buy lots of benefits from us. So that was really good business to be in. One of our most high-profile clients was Uber. We had Uber for the first 6 years of their existence. And I was not an urban person, and Uber, in the beginning really focused on kind of downtown metro areas. And I was like, well, I don't know if this is really going to work. What's this black car thing? And blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, there would be 100 people lined up out the entrance to the corporate office with people wanting to drive for Uber.
Oh, wow.
And it was crazy. I used to work with Travis would get involved with us. They were that small. He had a right-hand guy, Ryan. I can't remember Ryan's last name, but we worked with Ryan a lot. And that was a really interesting experience. We also did companies like Cost Plus, the store, and Gymboree Clothing and Imaginarium. We also had, a number of high-tech companies that all ended up getting acquired by like the Mag 7 because they just disappeared. Did business with the Monterey Bay Aquarium for over 30 years, and that was an amazing client and really a good mission.
That's incredible. You've worked with a lot of Fortune 500 clients, sounds like.
We focused more on mid-market type customers, but they would end up getting acquired by the Fortune 500 type. One of the things that we really brought to the table was subject matter expertise to help them manage their business like a Fortune 500 client.
That's amazing.
I had a partnership where we bought Dollar General stores over the years. Very successful entry, very successful exit on that. Again, that was a timing thing. I have a portfolio of municipal bonds that I bought in the great financial crisis that I still own the majority of them. And again, that was another fantastic investment. I've had some private equity and venture capital deals and other real estate deals that have worked out well.
Yeah.
But it's more about discipline and focus, and not necessarily trying to time it, but invest in or participate in a thesis that you believe in.
What are the top 3 best investments that you've ever made?
Interesting couple of stories here, pretty divergent group of investments. Probably the number one best investment I made was during the great financial crisis. I ended up buying municipal bonds, specifically zero coupon municipal bonds for school districts in California. I was getting 7, 8, and 9% double tax free on those bonds because everybody thought California was going to fall off the West Coast into the Pacific Ocean. And those bonds are really almost guaranteed. They are a liability of each homeowner in the school district. So even if the school district went broke, the people that live in the school district have to pay the bonds back through a lien on their property taxes. So that was the number one, probably the number one best investment. Number 2, in the early kind of late 90s, early 2000s, we bought a piece of land in Cupertino, California, close to the Apple headquarters. And an Apple executive decided he wanted to create a special campus school for talented people. He ended up paying us 10x the price of that money in 18 months. So that was a pretty good deal. And then probably the third best investment was we had bought a series of Dollar General stores just coming out of the 2008 to 9 downturn, and then we exited those when COVID came, and we nearly tripled our money on those.
Wow.
So that was a good investment as well.
Yeah, it sounds like you've diversified as well.
100%.
Right.
I'm almost guilty of over-diversifying, to be honest with you. And that there's positive things about it, but there's negative things as well.
What are the negative things? Could you give us a little insight
So
on that?
it's since we're coming up on tax time right now, collecting all the K-1s for my tax return is the bane of my existence. My tax preparer is looking for them now. They're not going to be ready until September. You have to file your return by October. From September 15th to October 15th, I think I have close to 100 K-1s in my return. So it is the bane of my existence. And I think last year my return was over 3,850 pages.
That's cumbersome.
To say the least.
I would say it's probably one of the least favorite things that business owners have to deal with, right? Taxes.
All you AI people out there, if you can come up with a program to take K-1s and import them into tax forms, the IRS tax forms and the various state tax forms, that would be a fantastic business, and I would absolutely angel or seed round you.
You hear that? Maybe some software developers will develop that after this episode. But a little bit about, so you've gained wealth throughout the years. You've been really successful in your business. What was the one day, if you were to go back in your memory, where you realized that money didn't really solve everything?
Oh, I can tell you, I was doing very well in the 90s. I was in not a great marriage. I ended up getting divorced, so I had more money than I could spend or know what to do with, but I was in a marriage that was no good. It wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for her. It wasn't good for the kids. So just because you have money, it doesn't mean it solves all your problems. There's no two ways about that.
That's true. How is dating and relationship when you have wealth?
You need to be careful.
Yeah.
I remember after in 97, and then when I started to dip my toe back into the dating pool, things that I took for granted, other people were like, wow, that's nice, or I've never been here, or I haven't done that. So I needed to be careful about how I presented things or presented myself, or what vehicle I would drive to a first encounter. So you always have to be cognizant of, for lack of a better term, gold diggers. There's people that are looking to glam on and get a free ride, and you really want someone who's going to be more of an emotional connection, a best friend, a partner, as opposed to someone who's interested in your financial resources.
Right.
It's not going to last over the long haul.
Yeah, with the dating landscape these days, there's so many sources to social media. People can look you up in an instant, right?
Correct.
About wealth, let's segue to something about like the truth of wealth.
Okay.
So the most surprising thing about being a millionaire that you didn't expect before you reached your million.
It doesn't really solve all your problems. It helps you to have resources. So let's say your yard has a bunch of weeds in them. If you're a millionaire, multimillionaire, decamillionaire, whatever it be, you can hire someone to pick those for you, and you don't have to do that. House cleaner, you don't have to deal with cleaning the house and those type of things. So if you have resources, you can solve problems far more easily.
You can delegate it.
Delegate.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
more access.
To allow you then to spend time on activities that are important to you, whether it be additional work or leisure or family time.
That makes sense. More time for you to really do the things you like.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
What about the cost of success that no one talks about?
Again, let's go back to a situation. I have a lot of friends that have had successful businesses, but it's cost them marriages. I've had a lot of friends that have wished maybe they attended more of their children's events over the years because they were either traveling or at a meeting or at a client dinner. There's no free lunch. Yeah. There is absolutely a cost from that perspective. I think there's also a cost on your health, where some very successful people have had early heart attacks, early cancer, early other things. And there's some discussion about how much stress contributes to that.
Right.
Stress is not good. And if you're engaged, if you're running a business, you're going to have stress at some level.
How do you manage your stress or balance everything?
I don't know. My current wife says I really do a good job at balancing. I am highly motivated, highly process oriented. I'll wake up every morning, either the night before that morning, and make a list of the action items that I need to have or get done. In the business world, I had some good people on my team. And then I think the other thing you just have to be careful of is don't bite off more than you can chew, because that'll just absolutely spin you down into a rabbit hole. How do you manage so many, you're so diversified, right? How do you manage all of these businesses at once? How do you delegate your time to each one of them then? Typically, I make more strategic decisions and top level where I'm involved in, and the minutia and the administrative stuff I will delegate out to other people. I'll need to maybe supervise it or quality check it, but you need to stay above the fray.
That makes sense. There's no way you can manage all of it at a high level.
No.
So over the years, I would probably say you've refined a way to see talent, right? In hiring, and I see a lot of complaints in a lot of business owners where they hiring staff or finding good people to manage their business is a big issue. How do you handle that in your own businesses?
I agree with you 100%. The ability to find good talent these days, particularly post-COVID, is virtually impossible. I'm not sure if I would want to start a new business from scratch these days, because the ability to get talent. One of the things I'm actively researching and looking at right now is maybe spinning up a solopreneur type of enterprise with the assistance of AI to fill many of those roles. My brother and I have been having some active discussions about that, but I really feel sorry for people that own restaurants or car washes or other service businesses. We just completed building a house a couple of years ago, and I was on site 4 days a week, and I definitely noticed the quality of the employees at the subcontractors, who are really the ones that do all the work, was less than I would have expected. So it's hard. It's really hard to find good talent. Sometimes you have a skill set, sometimes you're lucky, sometimes it's a combination of both, and sometimes it just doesn't work out, and you've got to learn to, when it doesn't work out, I think you need to cut bait pretty quick, or it'll just get worse.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Hire fast, fire fast, right?
Correct.
What's the most expensive lesson that you've experienced, and what has that taught you?
In the benefits world, I probably should have come up with a strategy where I focused on a very particular vertical and come to dominate and own that vertical, and I think my business would have been 4 or 5 or 10x bigger than it was. And I didn't do that, unfortunately. So I would say that was kind of an expensive lesson. On the investment side, I made some investments with some organizations that maybe I shouldn't have, and those investments are now worthless. So those are expensive. So each one of those experiences forces you to learn. On the first one, I think the world needs more specialists. The world doesn't need any more generalists. So if you're trying to come up with a business or looking for an opportunity, go deep into that vertical, become the master of that particular domain. With investments, I would say absolutely try and do more due diligence, and always it comes down at the end to your gut test, and if your gut says no, listen to it, there'll be another deal.
Instincts.
Instinct.
Sometimes we avoid it, right? That little
I think you've got to trust it. Think about this. You're out in a social situation and you meet somebody. You're like, hey, I really like this, and you make or most people do make an analysis pretty quick. Hey, I like this person, or I think I can be friends with them, or I think I can have a business relationship, or this person just isn't who and what I am, or not my cup of tea per se.
Right.
And that's intuition. I mean, I think there's fact sets that go into it, but at the end of the day, it's
right. There's so many times where I didn't listen, and then I regret it immediately.
Yes. So trust your intuition.
Trust your intuition. How has friendship been affected from before you became a millionaire and afterwards? Even in the process of how you choose your friends now, or who you keep in your inner circle.
Well, there's a whole lot to unpack from that. Let's start with a couple obvious ones. You need to associate with people that are in a similar socioeconomic situation as you are, because the things that you want to do, you don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. So if you're going out to a $500 dinner for 2 people, there's a lot of people that don't want to allocate that much money to it, and they would be uncomfortable allocating that much money to dinner. So you need to be cognizant of that. Same thing on vacation. If you're going on a cruise and it's $10,000, only certain people can go on that. Maybe you have other friends and they want to go to In-N-Out, and let's go to In-N-Out and have a good time, or let's go to a dive bar and have a couple of beers. So I think you really need to be cognizant of the resources and the interests of those people to make determinations, and then it just is kind of a natural ebb and flow. We live in a golf course community, so a lot of our friendships are golf based, or that's how we meet or get to know people. And most of the people in that community, one of the things I really like about it is because everybody's at the same place in their life. Most of the people are retired, so they have time and they have leisure and they have similar interests. So it's almost a self-selection process. And then unfortunately maybe some people get left by the wayside, or you're just not as close to them as you were because they're interested in going to a tractor pull, for lack of a better word. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they want to go have a Little Caesars $6.99 pizza, and I want to go have that's one of my things in the world is pizza, and I want to go have a nice Neapolitan pizza somewhere, and be able to go in an a restaurant that's air conditioned and comfortable. So it kind of it self selects at some level.
Have you lost any friends during your path of love?
Sure. Yeah. Let's don't call it loss, but how about you just don't have as much commonality or spend as much time with them as you used to.
The alignment, right?
Yes.
Right. That makes sense. What about how many children do you have?
Between my wife and I, we have 4 boys, 5 grandchildren with a 6th on the way.
That's incredible.
It's a lot.
A full family.
That's a lot.
That's why family get-togethers get fun, right? You just have
so
much
in
energy,
the old days, it was a lot easier to have family get-togethers. When the boys were in their teens and 20s and they weren't married, it was a lot easier to get together.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, with one family has 3 little ones, one family has soon to be 2 little ones, one family has 1 little one, it's really hard to coordinate schedules. And what we have to do is my wife and I divide and conquer. We're going to take the 3 older grandkids on a Disney cruise next month to
fun.
Florida and that type of thing. So
Yeah.
we just have to work to make it a priority to spend time with them. But their lives are busy. They don't have the financial resources. They don't have the vacation time that we have. One of the things that again, from being an entrepreneur, that is if I wanted to go skiing, or go somewhere, go to Vegas or go golfing or do whatever, I could arrange my schedule to do it. And maybe I'd have to wake up early that morning or after the event, come home and work. We have 2 of our sons are first responders. One works for a utility, one works for a big technology company. And they all have very rigorous schedules with demands. And they can't just, I'll meet you in Tahoe for Thursday and Friday, or I'll be there Friday and Monday. They can't do that. And in some instances, they have to put their vacation request in a year in advance. And that is just so foreign to me as someone who had control over my own destiny.
Right.
And, somebody calls on Monday and says, hey, do you want to be here on Friday? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting. So those things all filter into your friend network and your relationships, etc.
Yeah, the flexibility of just going on vacations whenever you want.
Yes.
How would you how old's your grandchildren?
11. There's 11, 9, 7, 15 months, 3 months, and unborn.
So they're fairly young.
Yes.
It sounds like your children has taken the path of working for corporate, right? Do you wish entrepreneurship now is the times of your grandchildren? Would you wish entrepreneurship for any of them to take on entrepreneurship?
Sons or grandson? Or sons or grandchildren?
Grandchildren.
Too early to tell on the grandchildren. Sure, I'd like them to do it. And who knows, okay, let's just call it they're 15 years to 20 years or more away, 25 years from being in the workforce. Who knows what the workforce is going to look like then, and what opportunities may or may not exist. I think we're even having a hard time. I mean, you're actively involved in the entrepreneurial world. What's the business world going to look like in 5 years?
It's pivoting quite quickly, especially with AI. We see a lot of, things that are taken over AI, softwares that are just been able to code in a couple of days versus months. So I think for my view is I feel like entrepreneurship it's going to be, like you said, specialty skills. The ability to do something that AI can't do but can supplement in creating. That's my view of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would I like them to be entrepreneurs? Yes. Is it far too early to tell? Probably. Do a couple of my sons want to be entrepreneurs? Maybe, but they also have the reality of a family and bills and
Right.
etc.
Entrepreneurship is quite a skill, I feel like. And it's hardship for sure, a lot of failures, right? If you were to go back, is there anything that you would tell your children and your grandchildren of what would you do differently if you can go back in time?
Me running my businesses?
Mm-hmm.
Again, I would try and develop a deeper specialization in a particular vertical. Maybe I would have invested a little more money in the infrastructure of the business because I was busy really taking it all out and then deploying it elsewhere, but it's worked out well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I would have come up with one or two other ancillary businesses, but I was just so heads down working on the business that I worked on that it was hard to sometimes see the forest from the tree that I was dealing with.
What's one thing that you can instill in terms of advice to them that would carry on the legacy of what you built?
You have to be passionate about what you're going to do. Don't do it because you think you can make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Do it because you're passionate about it. You believe in it. You feel good. You're focused on the objective or the mission. Because if you're not passionate about it, if you don't believe in it, it's going to go away pretty quick.
Right. That's the thing that I see consistent amongst entrepreneurs. They're almost obsessive over what they do, right? That
Correct.
passion is so deep that overcomes every sort of obstacles. I mean,
Yes.
There's, of course, hard days. How do you deal with those hard days in overcoming?
Yeah, when you have a hard or a frustrating day, it's bad.
Yeah.
It really is. And I mean, okay, the classic example is you go home, okay, and have a drink. That doesn't really solve your problem. Do you know what I mean? You need to think through, either find a solution for the problem if it's fixable, or if it's not fixable, identify how that situation occurred, and then try to mitigate it in the future.
Do you meditate? Do any mindfulness?
It's interesting that you bring that up. I would say my form of meditation is mountain bike riding.
Oh.
I like to wake up at the crack of dawn as soon as the sun comes up and get out on the trails. There's no one else out there, maybe an occasional snake or Gila monster or some javelinas or bobcats or coyotes, but all in all, it's very quiet. It's very relaxing. It's very therapeutic, and I can focus at that point in time, and that helps a lot.
I love that you bring that up, because most people, when they think of meditation, they think sitting in one place, right? Just listen to your breath work, which is great. For me, it's hard for me to do that because my thoughts just constantly keep on going. But I like the fact that you're zoned in an activity, and that is meditation in itself, where you could be driving and you have some relaxing music in the background, and that is meditation too, as long as you can just clear your mind and just release that stress hormones. I think it's really important.
The other thing I like to do is go out in the backyard, and our house faces south, so we get some spectacular sunsets and just enjoy the sunset, because that's a peaceful time as well. But the mountain biking, it's amazing how relaxing and therapeutic that is, particularly when you're by yourself and it's early in the morning. I don't know why, but when I go in the afternoon or even the evening, it's just not the same vibe.
How do you like the evening better or the afternoons better? Morning.
First thing, as the sun is coming up. Maybe part of that is you get that low angle of the sun on the rocks, and it's quite beautiful. And the day is just calm. There's not a lot of noise. Earlier, if you wake up early in the morning, it's much quieter than it is in the middle of the day or later in the afternoon. Right. And it's just the combination of everything and maybe just the whole natural process of the day being awakening and that type of thing. But early morning, the earlier the better. And go by myself, and it's very therapeutic and meditative.
Almost like before the world wakes up.
Yes,
right? You're
100%.
there.
100%.
That's incredible. Now we're gonna go to another conversation of it's a deeper conversation.
Okay.
So let's the psychology of wealth, the dark side of wealth that you didn't anticipate before attaining it. Like what success truly takes from you.
Well, okay, what toll does it take? Stress, certainly. Takes your time because you have to dedicate so much time to it. Can damage your relationships either with your partner or even your children or parents or other family members. Responsibility. If you have a large team working for you and you're let's call it the rainmaker in that organization, you have 10, 20, 50 families relying on you to put, bread on the table, make their rent or mortgage payment, make their car payment. So there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And I think that people from the outside looking in don't necessarily appreciate that, but I think anybody who's been there knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. It's not just about money. So what's your driving force?
I would say what motivates me is I like the thrill of the hunt. And I like the adrenaline rush that you get from hunting down and closing a deal. I, for 30 plus years, have had a beautiful ceramic Siberian tiger on my desk. It's probably 2.5 feet long and 12 inches tall. I mean, it's a pretty big piece. And I think that the little byline is on the prowl. And everybody that comes in the office says that is the greatest piece for you to have in your office, Peter. So the thrill of the hunt, the success, the winning, the motivation, that certainly drives me.
To go to the next.
Yes.
That's incredible. Well, to close, thank you so much, Peter, for joining us today. I want to close this off with, to those who are first attaining their first million or on the path to wealth, what's something that they can take away from this episode, specifically from your experience, that you can give to them?
I would say it's going to take more work and it's harder than you think it will be. I think the rewards on the backside and the lifestyle that you'll be able to have will be more enjoyable than you might have envisioned when you weren't there. But there's going to be some ups and downs in between, and you need to weather those and don't get frustrated prematurely.
Thank you.
Thank you.